Hey guys, and welcome to another Factorio Friday Facts discussion. Today, they go into a bit more technical stuff and also some very nice high-res lab graphics at the end here. So I'm going to start at the top here, and then for this technical stuff, I read through it, and it's actually quite interesting. I only understood about half of it, but even for me, it was very interesting. So if you understand this stuff better, definitely give this part a read here. But Can has actually very generously summarized this entire section for me so I can better explain it without just completely losing myself and you guys and trying to read this. So big thanks to him for this, but let's start at the top here. So another day, another optimization. I'm always excited for optimizations, and some of these are actually fairly significant. So we'll start here. As the team is getting slowly bigger and we still don't have any dedicated project manager, we had to start looking for tools to help us manage the team. So essentially, they're testing software that allows team members to track, time spent on individual tasks. And Covrex, I believe this is, says, so right now my timer on Friday Facts related work is running. I hope it to give me better insight into what kind of task our time goes to, where we're losing most of it, or where the people are doing when I was not here. People tend to not like these kind of changes, but we just have to admit that we are not the 4-people punk development team working from our living room, and we need to invest more time into working efficiently. So that's good, kind of cool that they're looking into ways to be a little more efficient with their time. I think it fits nicely with Factorio, trying to be efficient and stuff, and hopefully they find some programs or tools that work out for them. But that's pretty nice. So, especially because their team has grown actually quite a lot. I don't remember how many, but they gained like 3 new team members, I believe, fairly recently. And that puts them probably at like 12, 15 maybe. And then a few contractors as well, I believe. So definitely growing, definitely past the 4-people team they had originally. But now into the technical stuff. So essentially, I think it was last Friday Facts or the one before that, Covrex kind of summarized some stuff that Zulon had gone over with memory prefetching and the improvements and performance gains that this gave. So again, this is very technical. I'm not going to read through all of it, but I will go through the summary that Can had put together for me. So essentially, Factorio is mostly limited by memory performance. This is normal for simulation codes. So to kind of go into this a little bit more, to provide some of my own thoughts, because you guys have commented actually that you'd kind of like to hear some of my own thoughts more than me just like reading mindlessly through this stuff. So to add some of my own thoughts and experience to this, this is extremely relevant and very true. If you're looking to gain Factorio performance, memory performance and is speed and latency and stuff is extremely important. So a while ago, I upgraded my RAM. This was a good while ago, probably 5 months ago or so. I upgraded my RAM from, it was like DDR4 2133 megahertz, I believe, and like 16 or 8 or 18 CAS latency. And my game never ran bad, but I knew that a RAM upgrade would help. And I upgraded to something way faster. It was 3200 megahertz at 14 latency, CAS latency, which is about as good as you can get for Factorio, and it made a massive difference. That alone, literally, I tested a map. I believe it was actually this 15 sim map. I tested on my original RAM before I put the new RAM in, and then I tested it on the new RAM, and I literally gained like 15 UPS just from that, just from upgrading the RAM. So the fact that it is limited by memory performance is just extremely true in my own experience. The CPU performance and stuff is obviously quite important as well, but memory performance is very important. So definitely, if you're looking for improvements or something, I'd look into maybe upgrading memory if you can. So then on to the next point. They essentially try to reduce entity sizes first, but that didn't really help much in terms of these performance increases here. Memory can be bottlenecked by bandwidth or latency. Factorio is affected by latency most, which kind of, as I said, that's why the lower latency is better. but bandwidth and CPU still matter, obviously. So modern CPUs solve memory bottlenecks by using caches and prefetching. Large factories don't fit in a CPU's small caches. So CPUs have prefetchers that predict and fetch soon-to-be needed memory, but Factorio entities can't be predicted easily, which makes sense. So that's kind of part of the problem and kind of what they discuss through here and what they're trying to improve. So then what they've done here is that, you know, some programmers can use software prefetching to give hints to the CPU about what memory is going to be used next. So this is what Zulon's new code here has done, is they've kind of, where they can, they've given like hints a bit to the CPU of like what memory is going to be used next, so it can kind of speed things up a bit. So just to summarize a little bit more of what I said on the first point about cache latency is comparing the results for different RAM timings, cache latency shows that latency has a significant impact. So pretty much as I said, but just to show that even the devs say that. It is important to note that Factorio is not a homogeneous workload. Some parts are still limited by memory bandwidth, others by CPU. So it's kind of the two combined. So, you know, just again, they say here the programmer can give hints. Just to go into this a bit more for what they say, before an entity is updated, the next entity is already requested so that it can be loaded in the background. The principle also applies to a few other loops of linked lists. The nice thing about this is that it is extremely simple and isolated change in the code. The downside is that you are entering the realm of architecture-specific micro-optimization. If you aren't careful, it can even be bad for performance. So they link to something here. I'm not going to open it, but you can check it out. So a good rule is to never guess about performance, always verify. So this is Zulon talking. I did some tests with different maps and the results were promising. Entities are larger than a single cache line, and the pointers point into the middle of the object due to multiple inheritance. Many experiments later, the optimal range showed to be negative 128 byte to positive 384 byte, 8 cache lines. This coincides with the size of typical entities. The prefetching instruction has another parameter determining the cache level used, which again was determined experimentally. So they showed some different saves here. Some of these you may recognize. There's a belt heavy one by Swing. I'm not sure who this is. So Reddit. Huge bot network by Imward. Mixed base by Anti-Elites. I'm sure most of you know who he is. And a train heavy base by Factorio MMO, which may have been the one I judged, or another one. They've done multiple maps, but and then this is normalized relative update range. They kind of show in here. And then, so Zulon used testing on multiple maps to determine how much memory to prefetch into which cache level. So the result here is that, so to get better diversity, the measurements for this chart were done on a different CPU, the 6700K versus the 4790K previously, include some more maps. So it showed that the new belt-heavy map got less speed up, plus 5% from software prefetching than others. So the belt maps are going to be a little less affected from this, but that's fine because, you know, they're doing belt optimizations themselves on top of that. So as a remedy, this map gets a huge boost from the belt optimization before. Other saves get a nice 9 to 13% speed up. All measurements are average update times over 3,600 ticks. The box plot showed 20 repeated runs. So that's actually really significant. 9 to 13% speed up overall is huge. That's like, you know, let's just say 10%. I mean, that's 6 UPS right there. Obviously, this is kind of general average, but that's really quite significant from this. So this is a huge optimization, actually. And then below this, they've done some crafting machine animation optimizations with, crafting machines. So they've kind of changed it so that it goes from, this means that this complicated code, so this is what it is like currently, and this now becomes this simple. So the memory size of crafting machine decreases and the overall performance of game is improved by additional 2%. Another day, another optimization. So overall performance of game is improved by 2%. 2% may seem small, but when you say overall game performance by 2%, that's still pretty significant. I mean, you add these up, there's 2% with the stack size optimizations that Kovacs did. There was, 2% here, let's say 9 or 10% with the other thing. with the prefetching, and I mean, that all adds up. It's so even more optimizations in 16 is super, super good. And then the high resolution lab. These things look really cool. So the weekly dose of update high resolution graphics. So check these things out, guys. These are so cool. It's like a little like lightning rod in here. Reminds me of Frankenstein. But yeah, these new high resolution labs are so nice looking. Related to high resolution entities, it turned out that our zooming system never showed an exact zoom of 2, which would be the pixel perfect zoom level for the high res entities. By changing the zoom rate from 1.1 to the 7th root of 2, 1.104089, the zoom now increments perfectly from 1 to 2 in 7 steps. So this should kind of help, I guess, with like showing these better when you zoom and stuff. Very exciting. I wish we could get these in 15. I think these are not coming till 16, but really, really exciting. These look way better than the current ones for sure. So just overall really great improvements. I mean, these optimizations is just awesome. And I can't wait to see what else they do. So I believe that's going to do it for this one, guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts, as always, down in the comments regards to the high-res graphics. What do you think for these? There were some funny comments in the subreddit discussion and forum discussion for these. But yeah, really nice looking. And, you know, let me know what you think in terms of the optimizations. If I, like, said something entirely wrong or messed something up, you know, let me know. Like I said, this is not my field. I don't know a lot of this stuff, so I could have just completely borked it. Who knows? But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. As always, thanks for watching. If you did enjoy, feel free to leave a like. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.